Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Top 100 Horror Movie Review Series. I am going based off of the Top 100 Horror Movies as chosen by Fangoria readers. I have the scratch-off poster. I'm not sponsored by Fangoria, I just think it's a cool poster. And if you like horror movies, I recommend that you get it, or if you want to get into horror movies, it's a good way to find horror movies to watch. So yeah. Today's movie is Hellraiser from 1987. It is number 14 on the list. So yeah, let's just get right into the spoiler-free story. I will be getting into spoilers later, but just for now, it's spoiler-free. So the spoiler-free story is that a woman makes a deal with a demon to sort of rebirth his body through... Okay, so I have it written unconventional means. I think it's actually a pretty standard way of rebirth. Like, it makes sense, but I don't know. But I will be getting into spoilers now, so consider this your spoiler warning. Cool. The non-spoiler free story is that a woman and her husband move into a new house, or not a new house, it's his old house. And his brother's been staying there for a while. So they move in, and the wife is going through the brother's stuff and finds a picture and has this flashback of, or has this memory, I guess, of when she cheated on her husband with him. And after that, the husband is trying to carry a mattress upstairs with the help of a couple of people, and he cuts himself on a nail that's sticking out. And so he goes up to the attic to, he goes up because the wife is in the attic reminiscing, and so he goes up to the attic to her and to like see if she has a bandage, and he bleeds on the floor, and then they leave the attic, and then the blood starts animating into a human form. Well, I say human form, it's just the very bare bones, like, just the structure. So he goes to the hospital to get stitched up, and then later that night, they're having dinner. And their daughter's there, and a couple of other families are there, like the daughter's boyfriend's family, and I think one more family. So yeah, they're at dinner, and then the wife excuses herself to go to bed because she's tired, but she goes up to the attic, and she finds the like skeletal structure of something. It's just like a very basic like fleshy, or well, not fleshy yet, but just very skeletal like man. And so she freaks out, and he's like, "No, it's Frank," which is the name of the brother. Oh right, I forgot how the movie actually started. And the movie actually starts with a dealer in some Middle Eastern country. And then Frank buys a box from him, like a puzzle box sort of thing. And so he takes it back to his house, and he gets it open, and then hooks get caught up in his skin, and he gets like tormented. And so he's explaining to her, oh yeah, it's Frank. When your husband's blood got on the floorboards, then I was able to like be brought back.
and I need more blood to grow back my earthly body, or like a human body. And so you need to get more blood for me.
And she's like, no, I don't think I can do that. And then she goes to bed and then remembers the affair that she had with him, and then goes back up and is like, okay, I can do that for you. So that's already red flag number one for why I don't really like this movie, is just the motivation behind all of it. Like, it's your husband's brother that you had an affair with, and so now you want to bring him back because you had an affair with him. Like, I think it's just dumb, honestly. But that's beside the point. Anyway, so she goes to a singles bar while her husband is at work. And the daughter isn't living with them. She lives elsewhere. And that night, that the wife was like, okay, yeah, I can do this for you. She had a dream of her dad being like tortured and grotesque and stuff. And so she wakes up suddenly and starts freaking out, and then her boyfriend helps her to calm down. And then she calls her dad to make sure he's okay, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And she's like, okay, it must have just been a dream then. And so the next day, when the husband's out at work, the wife goes to a singles bar and picks up a guy and takes him home, takes him up into the attic, whacks him with a hammer, and then Frank takes his blood and becomes more developed as like a person. I don't think much else actually happens in between the killings. I think it's just like lore, like how, like why this is going on, which is that the group of people, well, I say people, I think they used to be people, but demons, a group of demons, sort of like thrive on pain, like they perceive pain as pleasure, and so they have this puzzle box, and the puzzle box calls them when you solve it, and so when you solve it, they come and they sort of like drag you down to hell and torment you. But so Frank opened the puzzle box at the very beginning, and that happened, but Frank was able to escape. And so then Julia, the wife, kills two more people, or takes two more people up to be killed, but the husband, whose name I can't remember, the husband is talking to the daughter like, oh yeah, you should come over sometime, should like hang out and like make friends with your stepmom, because so the original wife, like the mother of the daughter, died at some point, and then he remarried, and it's that natural thing of like the stepdaughter, or the daughter doesn't really like the stepmom. So the daughter goes over one afternoon and sees the stepmom bringing in a guy, and so she, the daughter, goes in after they're like upstairs already and starts like looking around, and then she goes upstairs to the attic and sees the guy that the stepmom brought being tortured and like being sucked of, like having the blood sucked out of him by Frank. And so she freaks out, and then Frank's like,
"No, it's fine. Remember me? I'm your Uncle Frank."
and that's heavily implied that Frank was that kind of uncle. If you know what I'm talking about, you know that it's bad. So that's heavily implied, and so she, like, sort of fights him off and takes the puzzle box, because she grabs it to, like, throw at him, and he's like,
No, don't touch that.
and she's like, oh, okay, don't touch it. And then she throws it out the window and then runs downstairs and picks it up from the ground and then runs off. And so she's exhausted, and so she's walking down the street with the puzzle box, and she passes out on the sidewalk. And so she gets taken to the hospital, and the doctor is like, oh yeah, what's this box thing that you had with you? You were, like, clutching it, like, super tightly. Is everything okay? And she's like, I honestly don't know what that is. And the doctor says, okay, the police will be by, you can talk to them. And so he leaves, and so immediately she gets up and tries to open the door, but it's locked. And so she goes over to the puzzle box and starts to solve it. And so once she does, the Cenobites come and explain, like, oh, if you solve the puzzle box, then you summon us, and we torment you. And she's like, no, wait. I know, like, you've done this before, right? And they're like, oh yeah, we've done it countless times. And she's like, you did it with a guy named Frank, right? They're like, yeah, I guess. And she says, and he escaped, right? And they're like, no one can escape us. And she says, no, but they can, because I've seen him. I know where he is. I can take you to him in exchange for my soul. Like, if I lead you to him, you can take him and leave me here. And so they agree. She goes back to the house, and Frank tells Julia,
Okay, I've had 3 bodies now, like 3 bodies worth of blood. So now all I need left is skin.
And so the husband comes back, and they're like talking and stuff, and then Frank makes a noise upstairs, and the husband, oh wait, no, that's earlier in the movie and nothing happens, right? I forgot about that. But the husband comes home, and Julia leads him upstairs, and then the daughter comes back and finds Julia and is like, where's dad? And then the dad comes in, and he's like, here I am. And then they, like, talk a little bit, and then she leaves the room and is like, okay, well, if Frank's dead, because the dad is like,
oh yeah, Julia told me everything, but Frank's dead now.
So she's like, okay, if Frank's dead, then show me the body. And so they go up to the attic and see the body, and then the parents leave, and the Cenobites show up and are like, bring us to the man who did this. She's like, no, I can't, that's my dad. I can't do that. And then she runs out of the room back downstairs, and Julia grabs her at the bottom of the stairs, and then the dad pulls out a knife, and we find out. Well, we can basically tell that it's Ben Frank. And he stole the dad's skin and just like put it on his body, because it's like sewed around the edges and like you can sort of see the flesh underneath and like around the ears. So he attacks the daughter moves out of the way, and he stabs Julia, and he's like,
oh, it's nothing personal.
And so daughter runs upstairs and he chases her, and then she runs into the attic and he corners her. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, in the hospital when she was talking to the Cenobites, the reason they agreed was because they said, we want to hear it out of Frank's own lips. And so, back to the present of, she runs into the attic, he runs after her, and then they're like in the attic, and he has her cornered essentially, and then he sort of admits to escaping and like taking on a human form. And then the Cenobites show up and say, well, now we've heard it out of his own lips. And so they hook him, hooks like grab into like all over his skin and rip him apart. And then the daughter runs out, and her boyfriend came because he was worried about her for some reason. I don't remember why he's there. It might have been because she was in the hospital, but I don't remember. But he's there, and so the Cenobites sort of like go back on their word, even though they didn't necessarily say, oh yeah, it's a deal, if we get him, you're fine. So they start attacking her, but she figures out how to close the puzzle box, and so she banishes them all back, and it's a happy ending ish. The house burns down, and throughout this whole movie there have been a couple of scenes of like a creepy homeless dude. And so the house burns down, the daughter throws the puzzle box into the fire, and then the very last scene, or not very last scene, but like right before the end of the movie, the homeless guy comes by, picks the puzzle box out of the fire, and is like fully set on fire, and then he turns into like a skeleton dragon and flies away. It's kind of dumb. And then the very last scene just shows the puzzle box being sold at another Middle Eastern market. And that's the end of the movie. So I don't have any notes actually about the movie. But so I've been mentioning in my videos, there's this metal band I really like called Ice Nine Kills, and they do songs based off of horror movies mostly. And they have a song for this one. It is called The Box, featuring Brandon Saller and Ryan Kirby. I will put the link for it in the description, to link it on YouTube. But yeah, I don't really have any notes. Pros, the effects were really good. The blood and gore were, like, they were well done. I thought they were really good. Most of the acting was good. Most of the writing was good. Like I said, the story was a little bit confusing. Some of the acting kind of fell flat. Some of the dialogue kind of fell flat. But overall, on a technical level, it was a pretty good movie. Content warnings. So there is a statuette of a nude woman portrayed in a sexual manner. There are pictures of nude women and man. There are... I wrote non-explicit sex scenes. You can definitely tell what's going on, but there's not, like, full nudity. Like, they don't show, like, genitalia or anything. So my editor has been putting in a gore line in the past few videos, to where on the low end of gore is like Halloween, which didn't have much gore in it. Then on the high end is Evil Dead. So it's like Halloween is 0%, Evil Dead is 100%. For this movie, I put it at 100%. I'd say it's about on par with the Evil Dead. There's a lot of gore in it. It was a pretty unsettling movie, just because of all of that. So, yeah. It has some language. I counted 3 F words, but that might be off. And then it also has some dead animals in it, if that sort of, like, triggers you in any way. Yeah. I would not recommend this as a first horror movie, because it is very violent, very sexual. Also, it's just, honestly, it's not that good. Like, it's, I mean, I guess on a technical level, like, it is pretty good. I just didn't enjoy it personally. It was very unsettling and just sort of made me feel, like, weird. So I didn't really enjoy it. It's a very intense movie. The story, again, didn't, like, it kind of made sense, but it was just pretty convoluted, and like, it can be followed. You could follow it. But I don't know. It's just not for me. And if you haven't seen a horror movie before, I do not recommend that you see this as a first one. On a technical rating, I gave it an 8 out of 10. On my personal placements, the entire list will be in the description. I put it at number 13 of 14, so that is below Halloween and above The Evil Dead. And you know that I don't like this movie if I would rather watch Halloween before I watch this again. So yeah, that is it for the review section of the video. I will now do the scratch-off poster, but that is it for the review. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, today we are scratching off Hellraiser. Real quick, I'm just going to run through the movies that we've done. So we have Halloween 1978, Thing 1982, Exorcist 1973, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, Nightmare on Elm Street 1984, Alien 1979, Shining 1980, Scream 1996, Night of the Living Dead 1968, Jaws 1975, Evil Dead 1981, Psycho 1960, Hereditary 2018, and now we have Hellraiser from 1987. So we have the title here, and we have Pinhead, the main Cenobite, there in the center. So let's get right into it. Okay, so that is it. So we still have Title and Pinhead. Now we have the hooks and chains that grab Frank at the end. So yeah, that was the video. Next movie will be Suspiria. But yeah, thank you for watching.